Daddy, dearest. The first signs came at breakfast. Mark's hands trembled as he lifted his coffee mug, dark liquid rippling against porcelain. Across the table, his wife hummed a lullaby, spooning oatmeal into their son's eager mouth. Eli's cheeks were smeared with fruit, his little fists banging on the tray in delight. Most fathers would smile. Most would feel warmth, pride. Mark felt dread. Eli's eyes, blue, too sharp, too knowing, fixed on him with an intensity that made his stomach nut. The boy laughed, high-pitched, bubbling. But to Mark's ears, it was dissonant. A laugh he had heard before. A laugh that belonged to the dead. He knows, Mark thought, fingers tightening around the mug. He remembers. He's waiting. At night, the whispers returned. The baby monitor crackled softly on the bedside table. A lull of static. Then, just as his eyelids began to sink, a word slipped through. Mark. His wife stirred but did not wake. He sat upright, heart hammering. The voice was low, male, rasped with familiarity. It was not Eli's. It was Daniel's. Flashbacks came in fragments, jagged like broken glass. He was 21 again, stumbling through the alley behind the bar, the smell of beer and urine heavy in the night. Daniel walked ahead of him, laughing, always louder, always brighter. They had argued earlier over money, over loyalty, over things too messy to untangle. Then a blur. Shouts. The glint of steel. A scream cut short. Daniel collapsed, blood pooling dark and inexorable, his eyes wide in disbelief. Mark had frozen, too slow, too weak. He remembered kneeling, pressing useless hands against the wound. He remembered the heat of his cousin's breath, fading. He remembered Daniel's last whisper against his ear. "I'll come back." Now, 2 years after Eli's birth, the whisper had found a new mouth. Mark tried to dismiss it as exhaustion, as coincidence. But every day, the boy's eyes grew more accusing. Shadows lengthened around the crib. Toys rolled across the floor without touch. Sometimes, when Eli giggled, Mark swore he saw blood flash across his cousin's grin. One afternoon, as his wife cooked, Eli toddled over with something clutched in his fist. A toy knife from his playset, yellow plastic dulled from chewing. He held it up to Mark with both hands, smiling wide. Mark recoiled as though it were real steel. His chest seized. Breath. "Haged," he muttered an excuse, nearly tripping as he fled the room. Behind him, Eli laughed again, and this time, it sounded exactly like Daniel. The countryside was supposed to help. Mark's wife suggested a weekend at his late mother's house, far from the city, far from the shadows he insisted clung to their home. She said the quiet would soothe him, but the silence was worse. The house creaked and groaned with every step, its air thick with mildew. At night, the baby monitor carried not just static, but voices. Eli's nursery filled with indistinct murmurs that sharpened whenever Mark drew near. And always, that laugh. The storm broke on the third night. Rain lashed the windows. Wind clawed at the eaves. Lightning fractured the sky, momentarily bleaching the hallways white. The power died, plunging the house into a suffocating dark. Then the baby monitor wind. Static erupted, louder than ever, swelling into words. "You thought you were safe." Mark's skin prickled with cold sweat. He snatched the kitchen knife from the counter, every nerve alight with terror. His legs carried him upstairs. Faster, faster. The creak of each step drowned by the thunder of his heart. He pushed open Eli's door. The child sat upright in the crib, silent, unblinking. His eyes glowed faintly in the lightning's flash. He raised one tiny finger and pointed at Mark. Mark froze, the knife trembling in his grip. The baby's lips parted. His voice was soft, too low, too old to belong to a child. "Daddy, dearest."